Insurance, protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. He's Hacker.
Talk about a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Oh, yeah. Week number 7, ladies and gentlemen. Weather getting a little cooler. Won't affect the game tonight in the Dome in New Orleans. But week 7 of the National Football League kicks off in just a few moments. The Denver Broncos, the New Orleans Saints, Sean Payton returning to the Big Easy. Just throwing it out there. If you're a Jaguar fan and if you think that, they're going to win 8 of their last 11 games. I personally don't believe that. But if you do, to get to that 9-8 mark or something like that, you probably want New Orleans to win tonight. Anytime an NFC team can beat an AFC team, that's good for the Jaguars, at least for the here and now. But Denver and New Orleans to kick off Week 7 of the National Football League. We will keep you updated as that game kicks off in just a few moments. And with that, welcome in a Thursday night edition of Hacker After Dark with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. We are glad you are with us. As we mentioned with Baloo there, bottom of the 8th, ALCS, the Yankees were down. Not anymore. Back-to-back home runs. Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton. Yankees 4-3 over Cleveland, although Cleveland does have a runner on second. 1 out, bottom 8. Yankees looking to take a commanding 3-0 lead in this series. Of course, the Mets and the Dodgers continue their series as well later on this evening. So it should be a fun night in the world of sports. We got a little college football with Virginia Tech and Boston College going on, and that'll lead into a big football weekend where I do believe, despite the fact that we are in absolute football hell right now in Northeast Florida, with the Seminoles at 1-5, the Jaguars at 1-5, and the Gators kind of holding the banner at 3-3 right now. A combined 5-13 on the year for the Noles, the Gators, and the Jaguars. I do believe all three have pretty good chances winning this week. We'll get into that in a moment. Guest lineup looks like this. Former Jaguar wide receiver Cecil Shorts will join me coming up in less than 15 minutes. We get Cecil every week here on Hacker After Dark, and I can tell you Cecil's got a lot of thoughts about the Jaguars' 1-5 start. He's also got a lot of thoughts about Andre Sisco's comments last week in the post-game locker room. So Cecil Shorts, former Jaguar wide receiver. Also Irish Schofel, warchant.com. Florida State Duke tomorrow night to kick off the second half of Florida State's 2024 season. So we'll talk a little Jaguars, a little Seminoles in hour number 1, and we'll certainly get back into the National Football League coming up in hour number 2. But every night here on Hacker After Dark, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night, and Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal? What is the big deal?
No big deal.
It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
We've suffered in 2024. Florida State fans, Florida fans, Jaguar fans, which I would have to assume an overwhelming majority of you listening or watching right now would classify as one, if not two, of those things. A Florida State fan, a Florida fan, or a Jaguar fan. Combined records of 5-13 on the year. They're all bad. All three of them. Again, best way to describe it, absolutely, positively, no other way to say it other than football hell in Northeast Florida, with where the Gators, the Seminoles, and the Jaguars have been through the first month and a half of the year. But could there potentially be at least a glimmer of light this weekend? just a glimmer of light. It begins on Friday night, Florida State, Duke. Duke has never beaten Florida State, as in ever beaten Florida State. Florida State's had a week off. They're going to historic Wallace Wade Stadium, where there'll be 21,000 strong in Durham, North Carolina on Friday. I'm getting the vibe Florida State goes in there and wins the game. I was actually impressed by their second half against Clemson. They showed me a little something, showed me a little fight, a little desire. Give me Florida State over Duke on Friday night. As far as the Gators in Kentucky, this is the one that I'm not as certain about because you don't know what Kentucky team you're going to get. Are you going to get the Kentucky team that beat Ole Miss in Oxford and that almost beat Georgia? Or are you going to get the Kentucky team that lost at home to Vanderbilt and got boat raced at home by South Carolina? Kentucky's been the ultimate Jekyll and Hyde team this entire year. I'm excited about DJ Lagway. I'm excited that Florida's back at home. The last time they were at home, they had a dominating performance over UCF. And I'm under the realization that if I don't pick Florida to win on Saturday night, I literally may not get to pick them again the rest of the season. With Murderers Row starting with the cocktail party here 2 weeks from Saturday. So give me Florida over Kentucky. And that brings me to Sunday, to the Jaguars. Very similar to the Gators. If I don't pick Jacksonville this week, I'm not really sure when I can pick them again. With games against Green Bay and Philadelphia and Minnesota and Houston and Detroit on the horizon. They are playing probably the worst team in football in the New England Patriots. And not only are the Patriots the worst team in football, they are an extremely banged-up football team going into Sunday, with a rookie quarterback making his second career start. If not now, when? Hey, Jaguars, if you're not going to win this game, then I don't know what to tell you. I don't know when you are going to win again. If you can't circle the wagons and find the oomph to beat the New England freaking Patriots at 1-5 with a rookie quarterback, I don't know when you're going to win again this year. So maybe I'm homering up. Perhaps I am. But you know what? We need a 3-0 weekend. And I think we're going to get one. I think Florida State beats Duke. I think Florida beats Kentucky. And I think the Jaguars get it done over New England. And truthfully, I'm not being too much of a homer, I don't think. Just because all those are very plausible, right? I would think of the three, Denmark, Kentucky, Florida is probably the hardest one to call.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a coin flip.
Duke is 5-1, but I just don't have it in me. In my inner being as a sports host, a fan of football, and being in this area for years and years and years, I just don't have it in me to think the Duke Blue Devils are going to beat the Florida State Seminoles on the football field. I mean, schedule-wise, record-wise, you would think they should. Duke's at home. Everything's going in Duke's favor. And perhaps I'm blinded by the logo and that spear on the side of the helmet, but I just cannot bring myself to pick Florida State to lose to Duke tomorrow night.
Yeah, I thought that a couple of times with Florida State early in the year, and I can't go there with you. I don't know who's going to win, but Florida, Kentucky's 50-50. Florida State, Duke, it'll be a close game. I think Duke's a field goal favorite still.
They probably should be. Yeah, they should. They're at home, and they have a much better record.
So, yeah, I'd still lean Duke at home.
And then where are you with the Jaguars and the Patriots?
Jags win.
They better. Again, if you don't beat New England, brother, it's going to be a very long 10-game stretch. Because, again, it's worth repeating. After New England, Green Bay, Philadelphia, Minnesota, Houston, Detroit. Yikes. Double yikes. We need a 3-0 week in North Florida, man. We've dealt with nonsense in Tallahassee. We've dealt with nonsense in Gainesville, and we've certainly dealt with nonsense here in Jacksonville. You Seminole fans, you Gator fans, you Jaguar fans have put up with a lot. And we are all united in our common interest right now. All three of them suck. All three of them aren't any good. Some will say the silver lining for Florida is that Florida State's terrible. Some will say the silver lining for Florida State is that Florida's terrible. There really is no silver lining for the Jaguars, right? I guess the silver lining is the Titans are terrible, but we don't have a big Titans audience here. We are all united. If you're a Gator fan, maybe root for Florida State tomorrow to swing the pendulum of North Florida bad luck this football season. If you're a Seminole, maybe take it out of yourself and root for Florida Saturday night to swing the momentum of this gosh awful season that all three teams have experienced. And then if Florida State gets it done on Friday and if Florida gets it done on Saturday, then use all that to channel your inner Jaguar for Sunday morning. We need a 3-0 week in North Florida. We have put up with too much bull in the first month and a half. I think we get it, and I hope I'm right. Cecil Shorts, former Jaguar wide receiver, is with me every week here on Hacker After Dark. Let's talk about that fiasco that was Chicago. Let's preview New England. But Cecil's going to go in depth about some things, including those comments from Andre Sisco. I don't think you're going to want to miss it. Former Jaguar wide receiver, my buddy Cecil Shorts, next Thursday night, Hacker After Dark. Glad you're with us. 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jags head coach Doug Peterson tells you what you need to know about Sunday's game.
They believe in themselves. They believe in his team.
Fridays at 4:05 on The Franchi Show. Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson, Custom Windows and Doors on 1010XL.
Baloo here for Smoonez Vision. Why Smoonez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Smoonez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has. Smoonez Vision is a family organization that focuses on personal high-quality medical and surgical eye care. Dr. Catherine Smoonez is fellowship-trained in cornea and cataract surgery and all refractive surgery. Combined, that's 30 years plus in laser eye surgery. Visit SmoonezVision.com today. Here you can see.
It's your boy E to the T, and our listeners been killing it in a year full of surprises. MyBookie is the one book that got your back. No fluff, no second guessing. Just straight up action, my boy. Does your other sports books pay out when you push on a bet? MyBookie pays you back. And if you're new to the game and you're not sure where to start, we've got you covered. Start up using my promo code 1010XL, and that'll double your bankroll with a 100% deposit bonus right from jump. Here's a pro tip to get you started. The NFL teams with powerhouse offensive lines are dominating the run game this year. And betting game total unders has been printing money straight like that. Stack that with MyBookie's Risk-Free Thursday. So why wait? There's a new risk-free odds boost every Thursday. To find the bet, click the Bet Boost tab and scroll down. If it hits, you win. If it doesn't, MyBookie refunds you your money. Sign up using my promo code 1010XL to double your deposit bonus with MyBookie. The best sign-up bonus for Florida bettors. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. Come on, somebody.
I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, Director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 5-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year, and right now graduate making over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There's no tuition or no student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, your only cost are the books and the course fees. About $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org, and you can apply there.
Apply by November 7th.
Hey folks, this is Dave Benyon with my son Ammon here from Zero Res. Ammon, you've been cleaning air ducts for a while now. What are some of the reasons customers might consider getting their air ducts cleaned?
There are many reasons. Many times, people suffer needlessly from poor indoor air quality produced by the conditions in their air system. Construction dust, the presence of bacterial growth, and years' worth of buildup all come together to make your air ducts a pretty gross place. If you suffer from allergies, have recently moved, recently remodeled, or have never had your air ducts cleaned, then now is the best time to call. By calling Zero Res, you'll have the peace of mind of knowing that you called the best of the best. Our state-of-the-art truck mount system and top-of-the-line service representatives simply can't be found anywhere else. Google Zero Res and read thousands of 5-star reviews.
So what kind of deals can I expect?
Just mention that you heard us on the radio, and we'll give you $100 off your air duct cleaning.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty great deal. Remember, folks, Zero Res,
spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
CEROREC, Zero Res.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On October 17, 1971, the Pittsburgh Pirates beat the Baltimore Orioles in Game 7 to claim the World Series. Pirates outfielder Roberto Clemente is awarded MVP.
Ready to sharpen your aim or find the perfect firearm? Come to St. Nicholas Guns and Range for our White Tag sales event. Up to 20% off all White Tag firearms all October with a huge selection of guns, ammo, and gear, plus Jacksonville's best indoor range for every skill level. They've got what you need to hit your target. If you're a pro or just starting, their friendly experts will guide you at 4630 Blanding Boulevard or online at stnickguns.com. St. Nicholas Guns and Range, gear up, shoot a lot, shoot better.
The Florida Forum welcomes former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, October 29th. Funds raised for a Kids Care Mobile ICU, a neonatal and pediatric critical care transport vehicle. Kids Care vehicles and helicopters safely transport more than 2,500 infants and children a year to Wolfson Children's Hospital. To get your tickets, click thefloridaforum.com or call 202-2886. 202-2886.
Jacksonville, are you ready? The college basketball season is tipping off with an epic in-state showdown. The Florida Gators and South Florida Bulls go head-to-head in the Jacksonville Sports Foundation Invitational. Be there Monday, November 4th at Veterans Memorial Arena and witness this in-state rivalry live. Secure your seats now at Ticketmaster.com. It's Florida versus South Florida to start the college basketball season on November 4th in Jacksonville. Get your tickets now at Ticketmaster.com.
Mia here. The name to remember this hurricane season is Pro Jax Roofing. Your neighbors have relied on Mike for 25 years to repair or replace their roofs. When you call Pro Jax Roofing, you only talk to Mike. No expensive salespeople. You always get the best price for your project. For the lowest insurance rates, a free wind mitigation report is always given with your roof replacement. Pro Jax Roofing wishes you a safe hurricane season. And if needed, Mike is here to help. Call today for a free estimate or go online at ProjaxRoofingFL.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The Jaguars and the Patriots, Sunday morning, 9:30. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL. And look, both teams are 1-5, barring a tie. Somebody actually is going to win this football game. I guess that's good, right? Why not it be the Jaguars? New England's banged up, and New England might actually be worse than Jacksonville, which is saying something. Let's talk about 1-5. Let's talk about the crazy week that has been and kind of where the Jaguars go from here with a former Jacksonville Jaguar, my buddy Cecil Shorts, former wide receiver here in Jacksonville. He's always kind enough to join us on 1010XL. Cecil, how you doing?
RG, I'm disappointed right now. I'm disappointed. I really thought this time of year Jacksonville would be in a better situation. And right now, like you mentioned, you're sitting at 1-5. And I'm not even sure why.
Well, and the thing is,
understanding.
Yeah, the thing is, Cecil, look, I'm never going to be confused to be ultra positive guy. I've gotten ripped over the years for being too negative, and I've tried to soften that a little bit and try to see the glass half full more. And I thought, look, realistically, 9, 10 wins, I thought was fair. I didn't think they were going to win the Super Bowl by any stretch of the imagination. But quite frankly, I'm dumbfounded at how they're 1-5 and arguably the worst team in football right now.
It's incredible to see. I expected Jacksonville, I'll be honest with you, I expected them to win this past Sunday against the Bears in London. I'm like, the Bears haven't been to London and whatever. Rookie quarterback, when you look up the matchups, I'm like, oh, they can pull this out. They can definitely win this game. And you see the amount of drops that happen, the amount of self-inflicted wounds, whether it's false starts or penalties. I mentioned drops already, but I'll mention it again because there were 4 of them, right? This touchdown drops or missed throws down the field. You can't miss BTJ wide open down the right sideline, right? There's so many things that you hurt yourself, and it's just self-inflicted. I mean, the PI penalties or the holding penalties or whatever that happened on Darby and the rest of the secondary, it's just so many things that were happening. It's just like, why? Right. And I've been a part of bad Jacksonville Jaguar teams. I have. I think I won 11 games in my 4 years there in Jacksonville. So I understand it. The roster that's at The roster that's there right now is better than any roster I was on. Like any roster I was on.
And
like,
that's the
in
point.
my mind, I'm frustrated. I'm like, you guys should be much better. Like, you guys have what you need. You're just not executing for whatever the reason.
Well, and in fairness to you, and you and I have talked about this many times, those rosters you were on all 4 years, you could arguably say were rebuilding years. They didn't spend near the money on those rosters that they had spent on this roster, certainly. And you mentioned the drops. You're the perfect guy to ask, being a former NFL wide receiver. Again, Cecil Shorts here with us. Cecil, I'm not being, hyperbole, and this is not a radio shtick. I'm being dead serious. I'm not sure if we've ever seen an NFL team, at least in recent memory, drop 4 touchdowns. I mean, they weren't deflected. They were flat-out drops, 4 of them in the same game. I mean, that's insane to me.
It's frustrating because we're drops by guys that normally make plays, right? BTJ dropped the corner route, great ball, went up to get it like he was supposed to, just couldn't hang on to it. Gabe Davis, I think, dropped a couple. It's just frustrating to see. And when your guys are dropping balls and not making plays, it's a sign that things aren't going your way, right? And it's a thing that if your top guys aren't making the plays they need to make, or making the most out of their opportunities, it frustrates everybody else that I wouldn't say below them, but everybody else on the team, if that makes sense. Like, hey, if our top guys can't make the plays, who else is going to make the play? You know what I mean? Like, you're depending on these guys to make the plays. You're depending on the offensive line to block. You're depending on the quarterback to put it there. He did a great job in Trevor and putting the ball there. You got to come down with it. And some people say, well, in some drives they score. It doesn't matter. Like, you were able to score quickly, great. You're back on defense, get the ball back, drive down again and score. That's disheartening. And you guys, those guys are expected to make those plays consistently, and it's just not happening. I'm not even sure. I tell you what. Let me talk positive. Evan Ingram looked good.
Mm-hmm.
It was good to see him back in action. It was good to see him kind of get back to where he was last year, catching over 100 balls. Like, he looked good. He looked fast. He looked confident. He looked really, really good. And him and Trevor had a connection early on. I think 10 catches last Sunday, so that was positive. But there wasn't much positive after. I'll be honest with you. After the Bears start going fast pace on offense, after that, remember their first touchdown, and they start going fast pace and getting the ball out quickly and making the easy reads for Caleb Williams to figure out. I'm like, golly, it just felt like 3.5 quarters where just Bears were dominant.
The Jaguar defense is broken. I mean, they're awful. I think they're allowing like 30-plus points per game in the last 4, and that takes me to Andre Cisco. You being a former NFL player, I'm very curious your thoughts, because I talked to another former NFL player, my buddy Leon Searcy, who was pretty critical of what Andre Cisco did in the post-game locker room last week. Of course, it's been a big topic here. Cecil, Cisco using the terminology, he saw some quit. And the thing about Andre, too, is he kind of thought about it, right? When he was talking action sports, he stopped for a second, took a deep breath, and kind of thought about it, and then still said it. And you used the quit word in a locker room. Now, they've come out publicly and, said the right things, and they're trying to not make it a big story. But you tell me, as a former NFL wide receiver, man, what would have been your reaction to that?
You don't do that. You don't throw your team under the bus. If you got a problem with an individual or a group of individuals, or if you want to stand up and you're the leader of the team, you talk to the guys man-to-man, face-to-face, but you do not call them out in public. That's just what it is. Yeah, and with the quit word, you don't do that. You simply don't do that. I watched the game live. I watched the game just before we took this call. I didn't see quit. I seen non-execution. I seen guys not playing well. I seen guys look confused and not executing their assignment. I didn't see quit personally. Now, he's on the field, right? So I respect his opinion, his thought. But if that's the case, then you talk to those guys man-to-man. All right, you talk to those guys face-to-face. But you don't call and use that word out in the media already when you're 1-5. You're just adding fuel to the fire. You're making things worse by saying stuff like that, right? And I don't think he meant it to, he obviously didn't say names, right? But he didn't mean to call anybody out. He was trying to, I guess, rile guys up and say, hey, we got to get things going, trying to be the leader, but you just don't go about it in that way. So as a former player, I would have been upset. I would have pulled him aside. Hey, we can't do that. Like, it's a different way to go about it, right? And then that's just my humble opinion. I'm not sure what other former players are saying or what current players are thinking, but when you go out and you say that word, you're already in a dumpster fire. You just added gasoline to it. And that's not what you want to do in this situation. With the New England coming up, a winnable game, but a game you should win. You want to try to just do your best to get back on track and get going, not have now, because it's not now you're 1-5, and now everybody's talking about the words that you said, quit. So now it's quit on top of 1-5. Now it's 150 questions if you're the media. Well, who's quitting? Well, how are they quitting? Well, what did you see? It just goes on and on and on and on. And that's something you can completely avoid by just not saying that word.
You know, and Trevor Lawrence in the postgame on Sunday didn't get the attention that Cisco's comments got, but Lawrence came out and said, we can't be so fragile. Fragile. I mean, that's what we can't be so fragile. Basically saying when adversity strikes, the team is fragile. I mean, another word for fragile, Cecil, soft, right? I mean, now that's me saying that, but I mean, it doesn't take a big leap to think that that's basically what he's insinuating. What did you make of what Trevor had to say?
Oh, man. That's my first time hearing that. It's honest. It's honest. And I think the word fragile is lighter than the word quit if you want to compare the two, right? Also, just coming from a guy that's been there a while, understands what's going on, and not saying he's not telling the truth, but it's probably better taken from Trevor than it is Andre for whatever the reason, right? But that word quit is a strong word. It's a strong word. If I go to somebody right now and say, hey, you're a quitter, they'll be ultimately offended. The same thing, you might be offended with fragile, but it's a softer word, right? It's a more gentler word. And honestly, I agree with Trevor. I honestly do. It seems like when things get tough, when things don't go your way, when adversity strikes, they don't respond in a way that they need to be a winning football team. And it shows up on Sundays, it shows up on the record, and it showed up this past Sunday over in London.
Final moment, Cecil Shorts, former Jaguar wide receiver, here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Cecil, earlier this week, the Jaguars traded Roy Robertson-Harris for essentially a ham sandwich, man. It was a sixth-round pick in 2026 to Seattle. Roy Robertson-Harris is a guy that's been here a handful of years, was considered to be a quote-unquote starter, certainly got a majority of reps with the likes of Eric Armstead, Devon Hamilton, Hines Allen, and Trayvon Walker. And again, you being a former player, man, you're in that locker room, you're 1-5, and you see a guy get dealt that you've gone to battle with for a sixth-round pick in 2026. What kind of message is that sending?
It's frustrating. It's frustrating. Somebody we depended on, and somebody I went to battle with, somebody that I trusted, and we let them go for 2 years from now, for a pick 2 years from now. You know what I mean? So as a former player, as a current player, you're frustrated, you're hurt, you're like, what's going on? What are we doing? You start to question things a little bit. But at the end of the day, you're 1-5, and you have to figure out with the guys in your locker room, how are we going to get out this hole? How are we going to get out this hole? I was also a part of a team, not in Jacksonville, but another team that went 2-5, ended up making the playoffs, going like in the 6th, and ended up going 9-7 that year, making the playoffs. So it's teams out there that can do it, and they have the roster to put things together and figure things out. But it's on the players to figure this out. It's on the players to really sit down. I don't know if it's the players' own meeting needed or whatever the case may be, whatever they got to do, a kumbaya. I don't know if they got to go light candles, wherever they got to do. But they got to figure out how to execute at a high level and not hurt themselves over and over and over again. If they can figure that out, they still got an outside chance to do something. Now you play more. When I played, it was 16 games. Now it was a whole other game. Like it's 2 more weeks, it's another whole week. Like you got the opportunity to do it, and it can start with New England. But you can't sit in a place where it's, well, why did the organization do this, or why did the organization do that, or what did GM do, or what the head coach? You got to figure out with yourselves as a player. The players have to play, and you got to trust the guys up top. They're gonna do the best they can and push on a situation, but you got to play. So as players, honestly, it comes down to, yeah, he got traded, we probably didn't want to, but whoever the 53 are in this locker room, we got to man up and figure this out if we're going to do anything moving forward.
Oh, that's a good point. I mean, if the AFC playoffs started today, the Indianapolis Colts are the 7th seed. They'd be in at 3-3, and Jacksonville just beat them a week and a half ago. So, I mean, it's not crazy to think Jacksonville could at least get back into the conversation. But at some point, you might want to win a game or two, man.
Yeah.
And that's New England on Sunday in London. Cecil, the Patriots are terrible. I mean, they're terrible. They won their first game, which I still can't believe they went into Cincinnati and won. They've lost 5 in a row. They got a rookie quarterback making his second career start. Now, Drake May did throw for 3 touchdowns. I know you watched him last week against Houston. What did you make of Drake May last week, and what do you think about him going into Sunday?
I was actually impressed with Drake May. He's more athletic than I think a lot of people give him credit for. He can move out the pocket, so when the pressure's coming, he can make moves. He did a good job seeing the field when he was scrambling and extending plays. But at the end of the day, he's a rookie. He's going to make rookie mistakes. If you put pressure on him, I think he had a couple turnovers last week. He will throw you the ball. He will turn the ball over. Rookie, especially his first start, and he got pressured a ton last week. I think it was 4 sacks and over 8 pressures from the Texans, who really got after him. And I expect the same thing from Jacksonville, man. You have the guys up front that deal with the call wreck. And you have these guys, right? As a matter of fact, Tavon Walker had a big sack on 3rd down last week, but you got called. They got taken away because of a penalty in the back end. Like, you have to play complementary football, not just one different special teams, offense and defense, but within that group you're in, right? So Drake May is good for a rookie, right? But I expect Jacksonville to really get back on the right foot, get some turnovers, and get some pressure on them. They should win this game no matter who's the quarterback.
Quickly, while we have you here, the Houston Texans, you're also a former Houston Texan. Boy, they got a gigantic game, right? Them in Green Bay. That should be a lot of fun on Sunday.
That'll be a ton. I'm going down to Wisconsin to check that game out. This should be Jordan Love, C.J. Stroud. I mean, it's going to be a tough one. I think the Texans will really see how good they are. Last time they had a tough road game, they got their butt kicked against the Vikings, who are 6-0 and playing real good ball right now. So another good playoff team is coming up with the Packers. So we'll see how they match up and how they can do.
Yeah, do a little scouting because Green Bay comes to Jacksonville next week, and I'm already dreading that. There's going to be 30,000 Green Bay fans here. That's going to be a complete disaster. Hopefully Jacksonville's at least coming in off a victory over the New England Patriots. Former Jaguar, former Texan, and let's give a little nod to Tampa Bay. He's also a former Buccaneer. My buddy Cecil Shorts, 7 years in the National Football League. We get him every week here on Hacker After Dark. Cecil, appreciate you, my friend. We'll do it again next week.
Yes, sir. Sounds good, RG.
There you go, Cecil Shorts with us here on Hacker After Dark, and you could sense the frustration in his voice talking about the 1-5 start. Again, I don't think anybody saw this coming. You don't have to be a Sunshine and Rainbows Jaguar fan. In fact, you don't have to even think the Jaguars were going to be good in 2024. You could have had them 7-10, dare I say 6-11. And I still don't know how many people had them starting 1-5 in their first 6 games. But that's where they are. That's reality. They got to work their way out of it, or try to anyway, and that begins on Sunday against another 1-5 football team in the New England Patriots. We will actually go up to Boston coming up later on in the 9 o'clock hour. Zach Cox of the Boston Herald. He's our guy when it comes to the Patriots, and we'll get the New England side of this matchup coming up on Sunday over in London. Couple of things to update you on. Bottom 9, ALCS Game 3. Yankees lead Cleveland 5-3. Cleveland does have a base runner on with nobody out, but the Yankees up 5-3 on the Guardians. Fielders, actually, they beat them out. Okay, so the Cleveland Guardians have a little something cooking now in the bottom of the 9th, but again, it is still 5-3 Yankees. We will keep you updated. Cleveland, though, does have a couple of base runners here in the bottom of the 9th, and the Denver Broncos are on the board early, a 46-yard Will Lutz field goal. Broncos 3, Saints nothing. Remember, this is Bo Nix for Denver and Spencer Rattler for New Orleans are your starting quarterbacks. Derek Carr hurt, is not playing tonight. So a couple of rookies. Nix for the Broncos, Rattler for the Saints. 3-0 Broncos, 5.5 to go in quarter number 1. Coming up next, let's go to Tallahassee. In fact, let's go to Durham, North Carolina. Ira Schofel, warchant.com, is up in Durham getting ready for Florida State and Duke tomorrow night. And we'll talk to Ira about the Seminoles, about where they stand coming out of the bye week, and what they're hoping to accomplish here in their final 6 games of 2024. Ira Schofel, warchant.com next, Thursday night, here on Hacker After Dark. We're glad you're with us on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
Spend 2 hours talking teal every day on Jaguars Today. With Mike Dempsey and Fat Tony from the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. 10 to noon weekdays on 1010XL.
Here's Linda Beaver.
Let's start the debate. Why would someone buy a new car from you? We have an exclusive 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty on every new vehicle. We offer a competitive wow price plus free oil changes. How much will someone get for their trade? We offer more than $4,000 over KBV value. Well, we never lose a trade over price. Okay, when is the best time to buy a car? Right now. Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't matter which side you pick. At Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet, you get it all. Let us show you why we're the winning vote.
Electricians, innovators, and tech enthusiasts, listen up. Miller Electric is shaping the future, and we want you to be a part of it. From healthcare and data centers, corporate offices, aviation, and industrial facilities, Miller Electric is powering the most exciting projects in Jacksonville and beyond. We offer not just a job, but a thrilling career with great pay and incredible benefits. Visit us at millercareers.com to apply. Miller Electric, where your skills meet our vision, an equal opportunity employer.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Today's contestant, a gravy taster from Jacksonville, Florida, me, Dennis Mosley.
Hi, Ken.
Okay, Dennis. 100 plumbers surveyed, top answer on the board. What does it mean if someone says your home has hard water?
It's made of ice? Let's see. Hard water. Oh, is it club soda mixed 4-to-1 with vodka?
Last chance, Dennis. What is hard water?
Oh, is it that lime scale stuff that makes my taps all crusty?
That's right, Dennis. And a water treatment system from Bueller Air and Plumbing will eliminate troublesome lime scale deposits that can ruin your expensive appliances and let your neighbors know for sure that you are cool.
I wonder if I can get me a gin and tonic faucet.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Hey folks, Mike Dempsey here. You've heard me talking about Pella Windows and Doors, and with great ratings and expert reviews, you know they're high quality and energy efficient products. So what's your next step? How about scheduling a free consultation or just stop by the Pella showroom right there on Phillips Highway next to Tesla. Pella's professional consultants will guide you through your entire project from start to finish. From simple projects to complex renovations, their team has the experience needed to make your project a success. And that's the quality and service you can expect from Pella Windows and Doors.
Mia O'Brien.
Don't I know you from somewhere?
On Helmets and Heels, noon to 2.
I swear to you, I know her.
Then there's the 1010XL video and social media channels.
I would know her voice anywhere.
All Things Mia is driven by Arlington Toyota.
On 1010XL.
Now that's what I call high-quality H2O.
If you want high-quality water in your home at a fair price that won't scare you to death, then talk to someone who knows water and is not a pushy salesman. Contact your local water boy, Keith. I install premium equipment and can repair or even rebuild your existing system. In a business known for aggressive sales tactics, let me show you how my approach is different. If you've got any water problems, contact the water boy at waterboyjack.com.
Whether you're navigating rush hour traffic or heading to the home team game on the weekend, remember, drive cautiously. If you find yourself in a fender bender, don't ignore those aches and pains. Injury Care Centers is there for you. Skip the urgent cares that treat colds and flus. They're not equipped to handle injuries. Go straight to Injury Care Centers. Call 904-783-0008. That's 904-783-0008. Drive safe, think Injury Care Centers, and go team.
Got a cracked windshield? Not only is it dangerous, but did you know it's also illegal? Call Baker Glass. Matt and his crew use the best auto glass in the market, and they accept most insurance. Plus, all new windshields come with a full warranty. From cars, to trucks, to RVs, you can count on Baker Glass to be fast and friendly. Just check out their Google reviews. Come see us at the shop on Casta Avenue, or we can come to you at your home or business.
I'm back with Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Expert Automotive on St. John's Bluff Road has some of the highest Google reviews in Jax for a reason. Expert Auto never sells greed, only what you need. All makes and models are serviced at Expert Automotive. This month, get an alignment inspection for only $19.99. Expert Auto does major engine and transmission repair and simple maintenance. All services done at Expert Auto by our ASE certified training technicians. Call today, 374-3373, and ask about $50 off any service. Expert Automotive. We never sell greed, only what you need.
If you're tired of your fence looking like a bad hair day, well, it's time for a fence makeover with Superior Fence and Rail. They'll make your yard the talk of the town with a new fence installed by their expert team.
Your fence is fantastic. My fence is giving all of my neighbors some serious pick and envy. Thanks, Superior Fence and Rail.
So get off the fence and call Superior Fence and Rail for your fence installation project today.
SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Hello there, Brendan from Play It Again Sports here to congratulate all the parents for surviving another summer. The kiddos are back to school, and you know what that means? Sports are back. But don't fret, Play It Again Sports has the gear you need at prices worthy of excessive celebration. From sluggers and shooters to clappers and benders, Play It Again Sports can turn your kids into goats. Stop in today on Merrill Road near 295 or online at playitagainjax.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555, Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Florida State back on the field Friday night up at historic Wallace Wade Stadium, taking on the Duke Blue Devils. Florida State 1-5 on the year, trying to get something going before a trip to Coral Gables is looming in the coming weeks. With that, Ira Schofel, warchant.com, always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Ira, how you doing?
I'm great, Ryan. How are you?
Ira, we're good. All right, the bye week in the rearview mirror. Duke on Friday night. Did Florida State, in your opinion, solve any of their issues over this bye week after the 1-5 start?
I don't know if they've solved any issues. They're definitely trying some new things out. It's like they're playing Yahtzee with some position groups, and they're putting the dice in the cup, and they're going to roll it and see if they come up with any better results than we've seen so far. They're continuing to play a lot of younger guys. The depth chart that came out this week has even more young guys, freshmen, redshirt freshmen type guys. Really across the offense, and they're just trying to find something, to avoid, just another embarrassing loss, because it's been one after another this season.
You hate to call it a lost season, but at this point it probably is. Odds are Florida State's not going to go 5-1 with that schedule and make a bowl game. And you mentioned the young players. You started to see that against Clemson. Is that the goal now? Get the young guys in there and start thinking about 2025?
Yeah, I think it has to be. I think the fans were ready for that probably about 3 weeks earlier. But I think Mike Norvell really was hoping that things would work out with DJ Uyunglele and that he would get more comfortable with the offense, and that, they had a few injuries early in the season on the offensive line. And I think they thought when those guys kind of got all back together that the offensive line would be what they hoped it would be. But those things really didn't materialize. And then they were never really very confident in the wide receivers and tight ends of the older group, but they wanted to play those guys because they had the most experience. But I think they realize now they need playmakers. They need guys who can either make people miss or run past people. And so that's why you're seeing a lot of those guys go in. And then this week they'll have a new starting guard, Jalen Early, who previously played right tackle. He's moving inside the guard. And then Andre Otto, a redshirt freshman who started at guard against Clemson, didn't play great, but I think the fact that he competed and he is a young guy building for the future, I think they're going to give those reps to those guys. I think it'll help them in 2025 as opposed to just riding out this string with a bunch of older guys.
Ira Schofel, warchant.com. Ira, Florida State will be an interesting case study down the road where you live by the transfer portal and maybe you die by the transfer portal. There's no question Mike Norvell has been the king of the portal with Jared Verse and Keon Coleman, Trey Benson, Johnny Wilson, Jermaine Johnson. Go on down the line. It's been crazy, the success that he's had. Not this year. Is that basically what happened to this roster?
Yeah, I mean, I think a couple things happened. One was, early on in the transfer portal, there weren't a lot of people that were really embracing it. Everybody makes fun of Dabo Swinney now for not embracing it, but really the first couple of years, a lot of coaches didn't really want to embrace it. They didn't know, if you're bringing in transfers who aren't happy at their previous school, are they going to be cancers? Are they going to be mercenaries? And, a lot of coaches weren't all that eager. So Mike Norvell was one of the first early adapters, which he had to be because this roster was so bad that he inherited, and had a lot of success. And then you kind of, that built on itself. You start, once you have a Jermaine Johnson, well, now Jared Verse wants to come. Once you have, Johnny Wilson and Micah Pittman, then, Keon Coleman's interested. And so it kind of built on itself. But then last year, I think everybody realized, okay, the transfer portal is where you need to be if you need quick fixes. So the competition got much higher. Now they weren't able to get a lot of the guys they wanted. And then the guys they ended up taking have not panned out. So I don't think it's a situation where Mike Norvell has to wave the white flag and give up on the transfer portal. I think he'll probably go fishing in it again. But yeah, clearly they have to get better results. And the only positive to it, I would say, of that group is most of them have 2, 3, or 4 years to play. It's not like they were all a bunch of seniors. So, there's still hope that some of those guys will turn into something.
Ira, what's been your assessment of Brock Glenn so far?
The thing I like about Brock is he's a competitor. He's a tough kid. He's definitely he wants it. There are college football players that maybe have ability and they're good at football, and it's just something they do. Like Brock Glenn clearly has a passion for it. If you watch him at practice, if you watch him even the limited action in games, like he wants to go compete. He's a very just kind of a probably maybe he believes in his talents even more than he really has. I mean, he just is a very confident, tough kid. And so I think that's the big thing he brings. But I'll say this, in practices this season, I was not real impressed with his throwing. He would miss some easy throws, just did not look very accurate. But in that game against Clemson, as the game got going and his juices got flowing, I thought he made some really nice passes. He made some big-time throws over the middle. He also had a couple other passes that could have been huge gains that were dropped. I think he could have thrown for 300 yards in that game. And I've noticed in practice since that day, it seems like he's getting better and better. So I wonder if maybe sitting on the bench behind DJ, figuring he wasn't going to play, maybe that kind of stunted things a little bit earlier this season. But I think from what I've seen over the last couple of weeks since that Clemson game, I'm pretty encouraged. I think he can really help this offense.
Is it his job for the next 6 weeks? Could we see anybody else, or is this Brock Glenn's deal from here on out in 2024?
My theory is it's his job for the next 2 weeks. We'll see. They still have Luke Kromenhoek out of Savannah, Georgia, big, 5-star freshman quarterback who a lot of people think is the future for Florida State at quarterback. He, is kind of, he's the highest touted quarterback Mike Norvell has signed since he's been here. He's a true freshman, and I could see a scenario where maybe Brock Glenn plays exclusively these next 2 games at Duke and at Miami. And then the last 4 weeks, you've got a true freshman there who could keep his red shirt if he plays some of those games, and maybe you give them each a chance. So that wouldn't surprise me at all. I think I think we will see some Luke Kromenhoek at some point the rest of the season. But if, Brock's got the inside track right now. If he plays well, I think he's got the inside track of the starting job. But he and Luke will probably be the big competitors in the spring.
Couple of more for Ira Schofel, warchant.com, here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Ira, you know that team as well as anybody, man. I mean, there's a lot of NFL guys on that defense. They're 1-5. That's the reality. What's the thought over there about the buy-in for the last 6 games? Or are the guys like Peyton, Jackson, Farmer, guys of that sort, are they going to start thinking about, it's been fun, but I'm going to start looking at my NFL prospects?
I mean, that's been a concern. And I think honestly, I think maybe the Boston College game, the Memphis game, I think that was a real concern from some people. But I think that those guys realize that, if they're out there on the field and they're not playing at 100% intensity and effort, that's only going to hurt them for the NFL draft. So the last 2 or 3 games, I think you've seen a much better effort, with the exception of late in the game at SMU, when the offense turned it over a couple times in the second half, I think the defense kind of, spit the bit. But for the most part, these last 2 or 3 weeks, I think the defense has played much harder. I wouldn't say they played well, but they played much harder. And I imagine, even if it's just for selfish reasons, that will continue. If they get anything going on offense, if Brock Glenn and maybe some of these young skill players give them something on offense, then, maybe that gives you even more juice in the second half of the season. So, we'll see. But I think even if it's just for selfish reasons, I think they'll keep playing hard.
I've had a couple of national guys on, some regional guys on. You're right there, boots on the ground in Tallahassee. So I'm curious your perspective on this. Some of the guys I've talked to talk about Mike Norvell's demeanor. About me, he looks tired this year. He looks like he's kind of worn down. The season's taking its toll on him. I even had somebody tell me they saw him in Ireland at the airport after Georgia Tech, and he just looked kind of like bewildered at what happened there. You've been around him since his entire tenure at Florida State. Is Mike Norvell the same guy you've known for the last couple of years, or has this season kind of worn him out a little bit?
I think it's my impression is he's just baffled by what has happened. He really was confident about this team, and this isn't just from what he says to the media. I talked to some people who are around him that either in the program and some other people around him who felt like, that Mike Norvell was very confident about this team. He thought they were going to be able to really run the football. He thought this offensive line with the guys they brought in, the transfers they brought in, and some of the skill they brought in on offense. Plus, I think he thought DJ was going to fit in really well. A quarterback, I think he thought the defensive line was going to be one of the best in the country. And so none of those things have panned out. And I think it's one of those things when things start going poorly, you start questioning everything. And so I think he's right now, I believe he's just reevaluating everything he thought about his program. The way that, probably everything from strength and conditioning to the assistant coaches to the schemes he's running to his own message. So I don't think he's beaten down to the point where like he's lost the fire. I just think he's probably, my impression is he's questioning everything because this season is not at all what he expected.
Ira, as we begin to wrap up, it's not rocket science, right? At Miami, at Notre Dame, Florida is probably a little better than people thought. North Carolina won't be easy. They'll beat Charleston Southern because it's Charleston Southern. If they don't want to get, to the 3-9 or 4-8 mark, you probably got to beat Duke on Friday night. For a 1-5 team, this is a pretty important game.
It definitely is. And I thought the SMU game was huge from the standpoint of, I thought that was your last chance. If you were going to make a bowl game, you had to beat SMU. They didn't do that. And so you start thinking, well, shoot, man, they may only win a couple games this year. But I would say that the effort against Clemson was promising, especially the way Brock Glenn played. After they got down 17-0 early, he played really well the last 3 quarters. I think you could say he played as well as Kate Klubnik, if not maybe a hair better in the last 3 quarters. So I think that's promising. And if you've got good quarterback play, I think that changes everything. Look around the country. The teams that have good quarterback play are very good. The teams that don't tend to struggle. And I think if he plays the way he did in the last 3 quarters of that Clemson game, now all of a sudden I think you've got a chance to win probably every game other than at Notre Dame and probably at Miami. But you could definitely win 4 of those other games. But again, you have to have him not just have a catastrophic redshirt freshman game. But if he just plays with the energy that we saw against Clemson and the accuracy as a passer, I think they've got a legit chance to win at least 3 or 4 of these last games.
Ira Schofel, warchant.com. Ira, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville what they can look forward to on the website leading into the Duke game on Friday.
Appreciate it. Yeah, no, lots of coverage of the matchup. Obviously Manny Diaz, who's the head coach at Duke, is very familiar to Florida State fans because of his time as defensive coordinator and head coach at Miami, but he also got his start as a student on the FSU staff when he was an undergraduate student. So I have more about the relationships between the two programs. One of his former bosses, Rick Stockstill, is now an analyst for Florida State. He used to be the head coach at Middle Tennessee State. So there's a lot of connections between these two programs. And then obviously it's a huge game in terms of the one streak left for Florida State is the bowl streak got snapped, the non-losing seasons got strapped, all these things. They still have never lost to Duke. So I think that's going to be a big storyline this week is can they keep that one streak going of never having lost to Duke.
He's one of our favorites, Ira Schofel, warchant.com. Ira, I know you're busy, man. Thank you for the time. We'll do it again soon.
Sounds great. Thanks, Ryan.
It's like overtime, regardless of the score.
There's no overtime. No overtime? No.
The window world of Northeast Florida, fifth quarter.
Oh, wow.
After the game, join hacker Leon and Coach Campo. Presented by Von Bowen Law and Hurricane Grill and Wings.
Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Awaken 180 Weight Loss. A program that has changed my life. A program that has probably saved my life. I'm down over 100 pounds thanks to the best weight loss program I've ever been on. And I did it in roughly 7 months, man. 7 months, lost 100 pounds. That's crazy. That's insane. But that's the power of Awaken 180. It's made a 180 in my life, I can tell you that. If you need to lose 100 pounds, if you need to lose 20 pounds, really any point in between, take it from somebody that's lost over 100 pounds on this program. And go to awaken180weightloss.com, awaken180weightloss.com. I tried a bunch of weight loss programs in the past. Very limited success, obviously. Awaken 180, best thing I've ever done for myself, for my family, for my future. Awaken 180 Weight Loss and begin making a 180 in your life today.
Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Did you know every 3 seconds someone is a victim of identity theft? LifeLock wants to give you helpful tips to protect your identity this Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Adding multi-factor authentication, like a text with a security code, is one way to boost your security. But for comprehensive protection, trust LifeLock. LifeLock alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal info and steps in to resolve issues that arise, guaranteed or your money back. Protect yourself with a 30-day free trial at lifelock.com. Use promo code NEWS. Terms apply.
This is your Mad Dad's Update with Chapter President Donald Ford. In our effort to curb crime, drugs, and violence during the summer months, we are offering Friday Night Lights. It has already started and will be going until school starts back. It is every Friday night from 6:30 to 9:30 at the Blacktop, 5732 Normandy Boulevard, and behind the Potter's House Christian Academy. We manage 3 basketball courts. You are not running on the cement. We have covering on each court. The Lakers, the Magic, and the Heat. Ages 15 to 40 years old. This will give them something to do other than selling drugs and getting into trouble. We have monitors there giving leadership. We have to wake up, stand up, and speak up. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think. Or MattDadJacksonville.com.
Hey folks, this is Dave Benyon with my son Ammon here from Zero Res. Ammon, you've been cleaning air ducts for a while now. What are some of the reasons customers might consider getting their air ducts cleaned?
There are many reasons. Many times, people suffer needlessly from poor indoor air quality produced by the conditions in their air system. Construction dust, the presence of bacterial growth, and years' worth of buildup all come together to make your air ducts a pretty gross place. If you suffer from allergies, have recently moved, recently remodeled, or have never had your air ducts cleaned, then now is the best time to call. By calling Zero Res, you'll have the peace of mind of knowing that you called the best of the best. Our state-of-the-art truck mount system and top-of-the-line service representatives simply can't be found anywhere else. Google Zero Res and read thousands of 5-star reviews.
So what kind of deals can I expect?
Just mention that you heard us on the radio, and we'll give you $100 off your air duct cleaning.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty great deal. Remember, folks, Zero Res,
spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
Hey, gang, Prosser here to save you some cash. Maximize your home sale now with the market experts who deliver more money in less time, and those experts are Chad and Sandy Newman. Maybe you're worried about costly repairs or upgrades needed to sell your home. You don't have to worry. The worries are relieved with Chad and Sandy, the local real estate experts we are trusting and recommending with the sale of your home. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. Mortgage rates are down. It's time to create your market. Marvin in Cobblestone writes, my siblings and I moved our parents to Maryland so they can get some extra help as they get older. Next, we had to sell the home to get them some financial help for their extra care. We hired Chad and Sandy, and they delivered big. Chad and Sandy's team got our home sold in 7 days, above asking price. You can too. Call Chad and Sandy today, 904-414-6200, or go to chadandsandy.com. That's Chad, ANDSANDY.com.
WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Hidden Hills Golf Club invites you to come out and experience one of the most beautiful and unique golf courses in North Florida. Affordable golf, friendly service, and great times in the Hills Grill after play. Book your tee time, hiddenhillsgc.com.
Hey, Scarline here. If you're like me in the fall, you want to watch football, not clean. Enter Molly Maid, voted Bold City Best Cleaning Service 3 years in a row. Molly Maid is reliable, friendly, and thorough. Visit mollymaid.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
What a scene in Cleveland, Ohio. Game 3, ALCS. Yankees were already up 2-0 in the series. Cleveland was down to their final out in the bottom of the ninth. They had a 2-run bomb to tie the game 5-5. They go to extra innings, and just moments ago, pinch hitter David Fry, a 2-run shot in the bottom of the 10th. Ball game over. Cleveland wins it 7-5. Yankees now lead the series 2-1, and it is absolute pandemonium in Cleveland. What a ball game. Game 3 of the American League Championship Series. I'm by no means a diehard baseball fan, but I can appreciate theater. And that was some terrific sports theater we just had in Game 3 of the ALCS. There is Thursday night football in the NFL going on as well. Denver 6-0 over New Orleans. New Orleans can't get anything done. Remember, Derek Carr is injured. Spencer Rattler is their starting quarterback. He's just not doing very much right now. Denver, a couple of field goals. They lead New Orleans 6-0. About 11 minutes to go until halftime. Coming up here in the second hour of Hacker After Dark, towards the bottom of the hour, we will go to Boston. Check in with Zach Cox, our guy up in Boston when it comes to the Patriots. He's of the Boston Herald. We'll get the New England side of this matchup with the Jaguars coming up on Sunday over in London. Coming up next, Tyler Sullivan of CBSSports.com, who's also stationed in Boston, Massachusetts, but he covers the league as a whole. We'll talk Jags, we'll talk AFC South, but we will spend a little bit of time on those New England Patriots. So all NFL coming up till 10 o'clock on a Thursday night edition of Hacker After Dark. Again, a 2-run, game-winning homer. David Fry of the Cleveland Guardians. Cleveland wins it in 10, 7-5 over the New York Yankees. Yankees still lead the series 2-1. And again, in the NFL, the Broncos lead New Orleans 6-0, 10 minutes to go in the second quarter. Tyler Sullivan, CBSSports.com, talking Jags, talking AFC South, and more. He's next. Thursday night, Jacksonville, Florida. We're glad you're with us. Hacker After Dark, right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
One of the keys to victories is to know your opponent well.
Best thing I can do is point you in the direction of his competition.
Get insights and interviews from Jags beat reporter Hayes Carline when he takes you behind enemy lines. Brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors on 1010XL.
The Jaguars are back at Everbank Stadium to go head-to-head with the Green Bay Packers for our crucial catch game. Join us October 27th as we fight cancer through early detection, risk reduction, and awareness all game long. Lock in your tickets now by visiting jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. We'll see you there.
Are spooky plumbing problems haunting your home this Halloween? Don't be scared. Call Duck Duck Rooter, your ghost-busting plumbing heroes.
Hi there, I'm Brian, your friendly plumber. Is your toilet making ghostly groans? Or is your sink dripping like a vampire's fangs?
Don't let plumbing problems give you the heebie-jeebies. Call Duck Duck Rooter at 904-862-6769 and chase those spooky issues away.
Duck Duck Rooter, because even plumbing nightmares deserve a happy ending. Quacktastic service guaranteed.
Here's your 1010XL First Coast Community Calendar.
Thousands of people in Duval County suffer from Alzheimer's. To join the Walk to End Alzheimer's at UNF, November 9th, visit alz.org/Jacksonville Walk.
You can make a difference in the lives of people living with lung cancer. To join the American Lung Association at the Lung Force Walk at UNF November 16th, log on to lungforce.org/Jacksonville.
The Farm Share Thanksgiving Distribution Drive-Thru event is Saturday, November 23rd at the FSCJ downtown campus, starting at 8:30 a.m. until the food runs out. Call 328-6158.
There's a critical need for all blood types. Please consider donating to a local blood donation center.
The Tom Coughlin J Fund helps families battling childhood cancer, and there are ways you can help. Go to tcjfund.org.
You can find out how to share your community event at 1010XL.com.
Ready to sharpen your aim or find the perfect firearm? Come to St. Nicholas Guns and Range for our White Tag sales event. Up to 20% off all White Tag firearms all October with a huge selection of guns, ammo, and gear, plus Jacksonville's best indoor range for every skill level. They've got what you need to hit your target. If you're a pro or just starting, their friendly experts will guide you at 4630 Blanding Boulevard or online at stnickguns.com. St. Nicholas Guns and Range. Gear up, shoot a lot, shoot better.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On October 17, 1971, the Pittsburgh Pirates beat the Baltimore Orioles in Game 7 to claim the World Series. Pirates outfielder Roberto Clemente is awarded MVP.
The Florida Forum welcomes former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson October 29th. Funds raised for a Kids Care Mobile ICU, a neonatal and pediatric critical care transport vehicle. Kids Care vehicles and helicopters safely transport more than 2,500 infants and children a year to Wolfson Children's Hospital. To get your tickets, click thefloridaforum.com or call 202-2886. 202-2886.
Make your dream of living in luxury a reality in Lennar's newest 55 and up active adult community, Edenbrook at Highland Trail. Located in the heart of Green Cove Springs, Edenbrook offers world-class amenities with a dedicated activities director and homes starting in the high 300s. With rates as low as 3.99% and up to $50,000 in flex cash on our new Edenbrook homes, the time to buy is now. Call 904-643-3750 to find out more. Your life of luxury awaits in Edenbrook at Highland Trail by Lennar.
Jacksonville, are you ready? The college basketball season is tipping off with an epic in-state showdown. The Florida Gators and South Florida Bulls go head-to-head in the Jacksonville Sports Foundation Invitational. Be there Monday, November 4th at Veterans Memorial Arena and witness this in-state rivalry live. Secure your seats now at Ticketmaster.com. It's Florida versus South Florida to start the college basketball season on November 4th in Jacksonville. Get your tickets now at Ticketmaster.com.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Since 1977, we've been Jacksonville's local family jeweler with a beautiful selection of fine jewelry and GIA-certified diamonds. But we're also Jacksonville's leading buyer of gold, silver, and diamonds from the public. Gold has recently hit an all-time high at over $2,300 per ounce and hasn't seen this level in over 13 years. Pay bills, buy something fun. Now is the time to sell your gold for cash and get top dollar, or trade it for a new piece and get even more value at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. The Jaguars and the Patriots come up Sunday, 9:30 in the morning. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL radio. And boy, what a barn burner Wembley Stadium's going to get. Are you kidding me? The 1-5 Patriots, the 1-5 Jaguars, NFL football at its finest, ladies and gentlemen. we got to find out what's going on here in Jacksonville. There are real problems, and we don't have a lot of answers. Let's look for answers with my buddy Tyler Sullivan. He does a great job covering the NFL for CBSSports.com, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Tyler, how are you, man?
Good. How we doing?
Tyler, we're good. Thank you for the time. The last time you and I talked, there was hope and promise and thoughts of the Jaguars getting back to the postseason. And 6 weeks in, those thoughts have been shattered and crushed in front of our very eyes. In your opinion, what has gone so wrong here in Jacksonville so far?
Boy, it really has been a fall from grace. Obviously, when we talked, we were talking about the Houston Texans and how that could be a battle in the AFC South, and it is a runaway train. It does not feel like it's anywhere close. It feels like it's Houston's division to own. And Jacksonville not only is falling behind to them, but they're reverting to one of the bottom barrel teams in the NFL. And to me, you're looking at poor execution on both sides of the ball. You look at what teams need to do well to pile up wins in the National Football League. Offensively, success on third down. The Jacksonville Jaguars ranked 28th in the NFL on third down. You have to score in the red zone. The Jacksonville Jaguars ranked 22nd in red zone touchdown percentage. Then you flip everything. Defensively, they rank 30th in yards per play allowed, the most yards per play in the league. They rank 30th. And then you go into the thing I was talking about earlier, stopping teams in the red zone. They rank 32nd in the NFL. They're allowing touchdowns on 76% of their opponents' red zone trips. That just can't happen if you want to succeed in the National Football League.
There are so many pieces of blame to go around. Let's begin at the top, or I guess underneath Shad Khan, the owner, because he's obviously not going anywhere. And that's GM Trent Baalke and head coach Doug Peterson. In your opinion, how much blame should go on their shoulders?
It should be the majority. You know, you look at, you know, if we go down a little bit to go down to the quarterback as well, because, again, he's someone that's getting paid the big bucks now. He got the massive contract. I watched that game very closely in London last week. A lot of drop passes, particularly in the end zone. I feel like I counted like a handful of would-be touchdowns thrown by Trevor Lawrence that were just dropped by his pass catchers. You obviously lose Calvin Ridley in the offseason. You brought in Gabe Davis. You add Brian Thomas Jr. in the NFL draft. You're starting to get things, you know, Brian Thomas is starting to look great, but overall it just doesn't feel like they have the impact players that these other elite teams in the conference, in the football, in the National Football League have. And when you don't have those weapons, well, then of course you look to the front office and ask, where are those weapons on both sides of the ball, certainly on offense, but also on the defensive side as well. And then the execution. I referenced all of those drops in that game against the Chicago Bears. That's coaching. That comes down to execution. So certainly something needs to change here when you're 1-5. And I was talking about it a couple of weeks ago when they were hosting that game against Indianapolis Colts, where they recorded their first win of the season. If they didn't do that, and before they hop on a plane for 2 weeks to London, I was very curious to see if Doug Peterson would be making that trip with them. If they lose this game on Sunday against the Patriots, also 1-5, I wonder if he'll be on the trip coming home with them. Well, maybe we see another head coach fired after a London game, obviously talking about Robert Saleh and the New York Jets a couple of weeks ago.
Tyler Sullivan, CBSSports.com, here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. And the disconnect going on, Tyler, is pretty striking. On Sunday after the loss to Chicago, Doug Peterson, right after the game, was asked how his team performed. And he said, you know, there was no quit. They battled, you know, coach speak, right? Well, no more than 10 minutes later, in the postgame locker room, safety Andre Sisco says, quote, "I saw a lot of quit." So obviously those are two very different stories coming out of the head coach and the starting safety. Trevor Lawrence said, we got to stop being so fragile. Fragile. I mean, this is the National Football League, right? And he's talking about being fragile. Man, there's just problems, right? And I don't know how you recover from something like that.
It's concerning because, again, what you're talking about there is a disconnect between the coaching staff in the locker room. And when you are starting to see those things publicly in the messaging be almost flipped on its head from talking to the staff and to the players, those are the indications that things could be changing soon. And you know, you just look at the schedule too, and it's on top of what feels like the messaging not landing. I don't see a lot of outs where the tides could turn. Certainly, they're facing another 1-5 team on Sunday. We will see how that goes. But even if you somehow come away with that win and you come back to the U.S. and you're starting to maybe get some momentum, you look at the next month before the bye in Week 12, Green Bay, Philadelphia, Minnesota, Detroit. You're not going to be favored in any one of those games. And if all of a sudden you're looking at 2 wins going into your bye and the messaging still isn't landing, maybe that's a point where a possible change goes down. It just seems very murky right now for Doug Peterson.
Tyler Sullivan of CBSSports.com. You mentioned Trevor Lawrence. There's been some frustration with Trevor, and I don't blame him. Has he played great? No, far from it. But his offensive line hasn't really helped him all that much. His wide receivers are dropping passes. They can't really run the football. I mean, what do they want Trevor to do? Again, I think there is some blame that goes there, but good grief. I don't know if I've ever seen a game. You alluded to touchdown drops. There were 4 drops in the end zone that were not deflected passes. There were 4 drops that got to his wide receivers that all ended up hitting the turf. Gabe Davis dropped 2 of them. I don't know if it's possible to have a horrible 2-touchdown game, but Gabe Davis accomplished that because he dropped 2 other touchdowns. Brian Thomas dropped 1. Christian Kirk has a affinity for the ball hitting him in the face mask. That's happened twice now this year in the end zone, and he's dropped both of them. I mean, you got to help Trevor out a little bit. I get the contract, but good grief, the guy needs people to catch the football.
No, it's totally true. And the other thing for me is they haven't really been able to run the ball consistently effectively. There have been moments throughout the season where they have been able to. They've had good performances from take Bigsby, and you can kind of go down the list here, but they still rank in the middle of the league in rushing yards per game. You look at that game against Chicago. Sure, the score got away from them. You go into a little bit more of a pass first standpoint. But you're averaging 3.4 yards per rush, and 17 of those rushing yards came off the legs of Trevor Lawrence. There's just not a lot around him right now. You referenced the offensive line. That's certainly part of it as well. That helps him elevate the roster. Of course, you're being paid, Trevor Lawrence is, to rise all boats and try to be that elite quarterback, but you also can't do it with 0. There needs to be something there that helps you along the way. And right now it just feels like everything that could go wrong is going wrong with Trevor Lawrence, as you referenced those drops.
They play the Patriots on Sunday, arguably 2 of the worst teams, if not the 2 worst teams in the NFL. Amazingly, someone's going to win, right? I guess barring a tie. If you're New England, you got to be looking at this game as a prime opportunity. If you're Jacksonville, you got to be looking at this game as a prime opportunity. So somebody's getting a win, Tyler. I mean, what's your thought on that game on Sunday?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm up here in New England. I cover the Patriots very closely, and it was a big game on Sunday because of the debut of Drake May, the number 3 overall pick. They obviously lose the game to the Houston Texans, a blowout, not even close, 41-21. But May flashed in that game. So it's funny, you come out of a game losing by 20 points, but it felt like, at least in the region, people feeling pretty good because of the promise that you saw from Drake May. It wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, through 2 interceptions, but also through 3 touchdowns, 243 yards. More specifically, they were able to push the ball down the field. That was something that they were unable to do with Jacoby Brissett through the first month plus of the season. And so as you're going into this game in London, there's a game under his belt as a starter. There's going to be some optimism that he might be able to be impactful enough to lead them to a win, as I referenced, against a defense that ranks 30th in yards per play, 32nd in the red zone. It could end up being a relatively high-scoring game because of the poor defense from New England on the other side. Again, like I just said, 41 points allowed. last week against the Texans. So it could kind of come down to which team executes best in the red area. And right now, I wonder if New England could ride the emotions of a positive game from Drake May to an international win in London, with the Jaguars kind of falling back on their heels a little bit.
Final moments with Tyler Sullivan of CBSSports.com. Tyler, you cover the league as a whole for CBS Sports, but as you said, you are based in New England, and obviously with the struggles here in Jacksonville, some names are getting bantered about as to who potentially could replace Doug Peterson. I'm a Ben Johnson guy, but obviously the Bill Belichick talk has been down here for a little bit. What is your thought on Belichick? Do you think he's done? Do you think he wants back in? Would a job like Jacksonville be appealing to him? I know you covered him for years up there.
Yeah, I do believe that he wants back into the NFL. I think that, you know, he seems like he's everywhere right now, right? He's in commercials, he's on every network, he's doing every little podcast. For a guy that hated the media throughout his career, it felt like, boy, he's really cannonballed into it. But I do think that this is kind of a pit stop along the way towards back to coaching somewhere in the NFL. And I think Jacksonville's a fascinating spot. You know, I think that a lot of people point to Dallas. I think a lot of people point to Philadelphia as possible destinations for Belichick. But I think Jacksonville is just as fascinating. The quarterback situation is solidified with Trevor Lawrence. There are pieces on this roster that are appealing. And the question will be, with all of these teams, is what's the level of control that Bill Belichick will have? Because you have to remember, as much as he was the head coach of the New England Patriots for all of those years, he was also the general manager. I have a hard time believing that he will join an organization where he is then answering to somebody or collaborating with somebody or has someone who has more authority on roster decisions than him. So whoever decides to bring Bill Belichick in, they're handing him the keys to the organization and getting out of the way. It's a question of whether or not the Jaguars do that or not.
Are you as high on Ben Johnson as I am?
I am. I think that he is someone who, obviously the Patriots just went through a head coaching search somewhat. I mean, it was pretty much, handed to Gerard Mayo, but he was somebody who, again, if you're trying to fix an offense, like the Jaguars are probably trying to do this coming off season, or like I was looking at it from a Patriots perspective, bringing in a young quarterback, you kind of need that next offensive mind. The defensive-minded coaches, there's been instances where it works. Certainly DeMeco Ryans in Houston is a great example of it working. But you have a guy like Bobby Slowick in there as their offensive coordinator. He's someone that I think will also get some head coaching looks again this offseason. But Brian Johnson, to me, will be the number one, the most sought-after young head coach. Of course, Belichick's kind of his own separate kind of situation. But if we're talking about that new age, Brian Johnson, to me, is the most exciting. I mean, heck, just look at what he did in Dallas last week. He was trying to get offensive lineman touchdowns. He was certainly in his bag in Jerry world, and I think that that's kind of what we would be seeing at the next stop, where he's elevating the offense, making it just such a dynamic powerhouse that the Detroit Lions are in terms of how they can run the football as a power team, as a finesse team, and certainly seeing the wide receivers develop. Jamison Williams is a deep threat, of course. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta. You have to hit on those guys, the personnel and the talent as well. But just in terms of the style and the scheme, he is someone that's so exciting to see what he'll do at his next stop.
Tyler Sullivan of CBSSports.com. Tyler, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville what you have coming up there at CBS Sports as we head into Week 7 of the NFL.
Coming up tomorrow on CBSSports.com, we already, believe it or not, talking about the trade deadline. We got Devontae Adams traded to the New York Jets today, but we're looking at the deadline, looking at contenders, have a story coming up about deals that teams should be looking to make prior to the deadline.
Tyler, always appreciate the time, man. I know you're very busy. Thank you for taking time out, and we'll talk again soon.
Talk soon. Have a good one.
Sideline to sideline.
That's a bad boy.
Goal line to goal line.
On best, here we go.
The best defense is a superior fence. Each week, Superior Fence and Rail presents the defensive player of the game on 1010XL.
Hacker here, and I can't believe it. 100 pounds gone. 6 months ago, I never would have dreamed this was possible. I'm going to say it again because it feels so good. I've dropped 100 pounds thanks to Awaken 180 weight loss. To put that in perspective, I've taken roughly 10 inches off my waist. I'm down from a XXX to an XL, and I did it all in slightly over 6 months. It's not just about the number on the scale. It's also about getting my life back, playing with my son, and being more physically active. Now, we're celebrating big time. I'm hosting an exclusive football watch party to celebrate this huge milestone, and you'll have a chance to join me. Let's watch some football, eat some great food, and if you have questions about Awaken 180, ask me. Details to come, but don't wait on that. Call Awaken 180 today and learn how fast you can reach your goals. 844-346-1800 or online, awaken180weightloss.com.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Today's contestant, a gravy taster from Jacksonville, Florida, me, Dennis Mosley.
Hi, Ken.
Okay, Dennis. 100 plumbers surveyed, top answer on the board. What does it mean if someone says your home has hard water?
It's made of ice? Let's see. Hard water. Oh, is it club soda mixed 4-to-1 with vodka?
Last chance, Dennis. What is hard water?
Oh, is it that lime scale stuff that makes my taps all crusty?
That's right, Dennis. And a water treatment system from Bueller Air and Plumbing will eliminate troublesome lime scale deposits that can ruin your expensive appliances and let your neighbors know for sure that you are cool.
I wonder if I can get me a gin and tonic faucet.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Expert Automotive on St. John's Bluff Road has some of the highest Google reviews in Jax for a reason. Expert Auto never sells greed, only what you need. All makes and models are serviced at Expert Automotive. This month, get an alignment inspection for only $19.99. Expert Auto does major engine and transmission repair and simple maintenance. All services done at Expert Auto by our ASC certified training technicians. Call today, 374-3373, and ask about $50 off any service. Expert Automotive. We never sell greed, only what you need.
Get more Garnet and Gold on the Seminole Report.
Follow the Seminole Warpath to college football glory.
Brought to you by your local Ag Pro, your home team. Stay close to the Seminoles with the Florida State Seminole Report on 1010XL.
Meet Jennifer, talking about her experience with BioTarget Regenerative Therapy at Injury Care Centers.
I'm a music teacher and play the piano, and I was unable to play the piano at all due to pain from carpal tunnel. I did notice a significant difference after the first treatment. I was in immense pain and unable to work, and I woke up the following day able to fully move my wrist again. I was a pill popper. I would take ibuprofen all the time to help manage my pain, and it did not really do a great job. What really sold me was knowing that if it was not successful, I'd be able to get all of my money back. So I would highly recommend it to anybody who's experiencing any type of pain.
Stop masking your pain with harmful medications. There's a better solution. BioTarget Regenerative Therapy has helped countless others, and it can help you too. Call 904-92-REGEN or visit GoBioTarget.com today.
Brian Wall here with Window World. You know that awesome feeling when you finally find that one place to go to that will give you a top quality product at a great price and then stand behind what they sell you? That's exactly what Window World does. Top quality, energy efficient windows at a great price that keeps more of your money in your bank account. With the absolute best guarantee in the window replacement business. That's why Window World has been the #1 window replacement company in the USA for years, selling more than 1 million windows each year for the past 8 years. That's a lot of satisfied customers, and you can be one too. Save money on installing new energy-efficient windows and save on your energy bills too. You can't lose. And if anything goes wrong with your new Window World windows ever, Window World and I will be there to make it right. Call Window World today or see them online and have them come and give you a free estimate and see why we are so proud of our products and the work we do for our customers. Call Window World or go online at windowworldneflorida.com. And thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors. Imagine driving a late model Corvette, BMW, Mercedes, Lexus, Honda, Chevy, Ford, and more, all at a fraction of the original sticker price. Visit Vaughn Motor Group's indoor showroom and browse a great selection of dream cars that are inspected with warranties. Before you make your next auto purchase, check out Vaughn Motor Group on San Jose Boulevard or at vaughnmotorgroup.com for a complete inventory listing. If you can dream it, you can drive it at Vaughn Motor Group.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The Jaguars and the Patriots come up this Sunday morning, 9:30. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL radio. And the good thing is one of these teams is actually going to win a game. The Patriots are 1-5. The Jaguars are 1-5. What a battle they're getting over at Wembley Stadium this Sunday morning with the National Football League. Let's get the New England perspective of this game. The new head coach, Gerard Mayo, the new quarterback, Drake May, and a couple of former Jacksonville high school prospects on that team. Our guy up in New England, Zach Cox of the Boston Herald, always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Zach, how we doing, man?
Doing well, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Zach, we always appreciate it. We are dumbfounded, flabbergasted, whatever verbiage you want to use at the 1-5 start here in Jacksonville. The sky is basically falling, Zach. The Patriots were 1-0. They've lost 5 in a row. Are they dumbfounded as well, or was this thought to be a rebuild in Gerard Mayo's first year?
It was definitely thought to be a rebuild. I think people are less surprised in New England that the Patriots are 1-5 than I'm sure people down in Jacksonville are about the Jaguars. That said, I did not expect them to be quite this bad so far. Especially after the way they started the season with that big win over Cincinnati back in week 1. Injuries have not helped them. They've been really just crushed by injuries, especially on the defensive side of the ball and along the offensive line. And their personnel offensively was not very good to start with. So the talent pool just isn't especially deep in New England right now. But the coaching has also been poor so far. It's just been kind of a mess overall. And now really the only thing that's giving Patriots fans some hope and giving this team some watchability is the fact that Drake May is now playing. He made his debut this past weekend. Actually looks pretty good. So there's at least some optimism for this team going forward.
Yeah, 41-21 loss to Houston, but in that, Drake May did throw 3 touchdown passes. I saw where he actually led the team in rushing too. I think almost 40 yards scrambling on the ground. How would you assess Drake May's debut?
It was definitely promising. It wasn't perfect. He had a really bad interception early in the game where he just sailed the ball over a wide receiver's head. And he also lost a strip sack. He had another interception later in the game that was tipped at the line. So some things to clean up for sure, but just the Patriots passing game looks completely different with Drake May in the game rather than Jacoby Brissett, who started the first 4 or 5 games, or the first 5 games rather. The Jacoby Brissett was fine to start the year, but he wasn't able to avoid pressure the way that Drake May was in this game, and there was really just no downfield element to the Patriots passing game when Brissett was in there. So now that they've finally made the switch to May, which they delayed longer than some people would have liked just because the offensive line in front of him is a complete mess right now. But yeah, showed some real potential. I don't think he's going to have quite as much success as maybe some of the other rookie quarterbacks, like a Caleb Williams or a Jaden Daniels, just because the team around him isn't as good. But I think he showed Patriots fans a lot of what they wanted to see in this first game.
Zach Cox of the Boston Herald here with us talking New England Patriots. Again, Patriots and the Jaguars, Sunday, 9:30 over at Wembley Stadium in London. You'll hear the game right here on 1010XL Radio. Life after Bill Belichick, Gerard Mayo, the brand new head coach, obviously 1-5. Not the start that he wanted, but how would you assess Gerard Mayo 6 games into his coaching tenure?
Yeah, it hasn't been great so far. It's been if you want to be optimistic, you call it a learning experience and something that he'll be able to take some lessons from. It's the hiring of Gerard Mayo was a little bit controversial at the time, obviously because he's replacing a legend in Bill Belichick, and the fact that Robert Kraft, the Patriots owner, just installed Gerard Mayo as the head coach. He did not interview any other candidates. He did not do any sort of coaching search. He basically hitched his wagon to Gerard Mayo, who was a great player for the Patriots, really highly regarded as an assistant coach for a couple of years, but has never been a head coach before. And I think that has shown through the first month and a half of the season, both in terms of some of his handlings with the media, some of his in-game decisions. The Patriots have just been a really poorly disciplined team, especially in the last couple of weeks. They've committed something like 21 or 22 penalties over the last 2 games. And that kind of thing reflects back on the head coach. So I still think that Gerard Mayo can be a good head coach and can have success in that job. But yeah, it's been a bit of a rough go for him so far, for sure.
I was stunned that they did not bring Mike Vrabel back to New England. I mean, I was stunned. I mean, you're obviously a lot closer to it than I am. What was the thought about that?
I think Robert Kraft decided that he wanted Gerard Mayo to be the one to succeed Bill Belichick. He actually came out and said a couple of weeks ago that he decided way back in 2019 that he wanted Gerard Mayo to be his next head coach. Now, maybe that's a bit apocryphal at this point, and maybe he did not actually make the decision at that time. But I also don't think – I think with where the Patriots were heading into last season, he probably thought he would keep Bill Belichick for another year. And then when things really went downhill, he's like, okay, I need to make a change. And he had already decided that Mayo was the guy before Vrabel became available, before some of these other potential head coaching candidates were available, and then just didn't deviate from that plan. I mean, if Gerard Mayo is not a successful head coach, if the Patriots really struggle for the next couple of years, it's really going to be a kind of a black mark on Robert Kraft's resume here with the Patriots. Obviously has done a lot of great things for the franchise. And again, it's too early to say that Gerard Mayo is not going to work out as a head coach. But when you have a chance to interview some of the talented coaches that were out there, especially Mike Vrabel, who played for the Patriots, and you don't do it, you really need the guy that you chose to hit. And so far that hasn't hit. Again, still early, but yeah, definitely not off to the greatest start.
A couple more for Zach Cox of the Boston Herald covering the New England Patriots. Zach, kind of a cool story for a couple of New England Patriot players that won state championships no more than 10 minutes from where I'm talking to you at Mandarin High School. We know Carson Beck, the quarterback of Georgia, well, on that Mandarin High School team was running back Terrell Jennings and wide receiver Demario Douglas, and both young men now in New England, both having a key role in Demario especially. He's probably one of the best wide receivers up there. Very cool story. 2 Jacksonville kids getting to play against the Jaguars this Sunday.
Definitely, and as you mentioned, especially Douglas. Jennings is a practice squad guy at the moment. He was elevated for this past weekend's game. Maybe he gets a bump up again if Andre Stevenson isn't able to go, the Patriots' top running back. But, yeah, Douglas is the Patriots' best wide receiver at the moment. He really impressed as a 6th-round rookie last season. Early this year, he was a little bit frustrated. The Patriots weren't really able to get him the ball the way that they should have been when Jacoby Brissett was in at quarterback for them. But you saw the way he performed in this past game. He had, I believe, 92 receiving yards, a touchdown. He's really their most dangerous wide receiver and their biggest playmaker at the position, despite the fact that he's probably the smallest guy on the Patriots roster. So there's really a lot to like about Douglas. I know a lot of people, he's made a lot of fans since he arrived in New England last year. And now that Drake May isn't at quarterback, I think you're going to see a lot more of Douglas moving forward this season, and that's only going to help the Patriots offense.
Zach, as you can imagine, the way this game is being looked at here in Jacksonville against the Patriots, it might be their last opportunity for a win for a while. I mean, they come home after London, and it's Green Bay, and it's Philadelphia, and Minnesota, and Houston, Detroit. I mean, it's ridiculous. I would have to think up in New England, they're kind of looking at the same thing. I mean, they look at the Jaguars, who are a complete dumpster fire right now. You got players saying that the team quit in the post-game locker room after the Chicago game on Sunday. Are the Patriots looking at this as a prime opportunity to get a victory over there at Wembley Stadium?
I mean, they should be. Their remaining schedule is a little bit different because they have most of the teams that they play over the rest of the season, with the exception of a couple games against Buffalo, are against bad or mediocre teams. So the road behind this game isn't quite as difficult, but also the way the Patriots have played the last couple of weeks, you can't really confidently pick them to win over anybody. So this is definitely a prime opportunity for them to get some more momentum for Drake May, to get their first win of the quote unquote Drake May era. As I mentioned earlier, there's still a ton of issues with this team that they need to clean up from a discipline perspective, a tackling perspective. They need to get some of their players healthy, and we'll see how they're able to block up front, because one of the things that Jacksonville can do well is get after the passer. But I mean, from a reporter's perspective and a lover of chaos, I would very much like to see Mac Jones get into this game at some point for Jacksonville, just because the Mac Jones Patriots storyline was such a dominant story over the last couple of years, even though obviously a lot of that was related to Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is no longer here. But back to your original point, this is one of the best chances that the Patriots will have to get a win over the course of the rest of this season. So going to be interesting to see how they show up out there in London.
Final moment, Zach Cox of the Boston Herald. Two final questions. You mentioned Mac Jones. If we see Mac Jones on Sunday, it's probably a catastrophe. That means either the Jaguars are getting blown out like they did last week, or Trevor got hurt. So we hope that's not the case here in Jacksonville. But since you brought him up, I will ask. Mac has been very cool down here. He looks like he's very happy to be home, kind of a weight off the shoulders. What is the fan base's perspective of Mac Jones up there in New England?
I think they're probably not the biggest fans of Mac Jones. It's interesting because the Patriots fan base is really split on that whole issue. There's a large portion of it that said, hey, Mac Jones played pretty well as a rookie. He had a really encouraging rookie year. And then just everything around him, all the infrastructure around him fell apart from a poor coaching perspective, from a roster perspective. The talent around him wasn't very good. And then he clearly didn't handle some things as well as he should have, especially in that last season where he ended up losing his job. And then there's another side that said, well, if he was actually a real legitimate first-round quarterback, he could have overcame some of those things. And the reason that the Patriots kind of the end of the Bill Belichick era happened was because Mac Jones wasn't the guy. I lean more toward the first camp there. I saw the way he played as a rookie. I think if the Patriots put him in a better situation, he could have turned out to be a solid NFL quarterback at the very least. But I do think he's in a good situation down there in Jacksonville now. It's obviously his hometown. He's back in kind of familiar surroundings, and he's not in a place where he is, as you mentioned, basically if he's in the game, then something went very wrong. So I think this will be a good chance for him this year to kind of mentally reset, and then maybe hopefully for his sake get another opportunity somewhere else within the next couple of years.
Zach, final question. We got about 90 seconds. obviously, as you can imagine, there's hot seat talk down here surrounding Doug Peterson, and we're always, looking ahead, right? When the team is this bad and people are talking about quitting in the locker room, you tend to think about who might be the next head coach be. A lot of young guys are being brought up from Ben Johnson, of course, in Detroit, and those type of guys. But certainly the name Bill Belichick has been brought up down here. Whether that's realistic or not, I don't know, but the name certainly has been bantered about. What's your opinion on Belichick? Do you think, even at his age, that he would still want to get in 2025 to a head coaching opportunity?
I think so, yeah. I think everything that I've heard is that Bill Belichick is not done coaching or does not want to be done coaching. He's only 14 or 15 wins away from Don Shula's all-time record. I believe he really wants to get that. The thing with Belichick is I don't think he's going to go into a situation where he can't have the kind of control that he had in New England, where he's not the head coach and also the GM. And given his age and the fact that he'd probably only be there for a year or two, I don't know how many teams are going to be willing to give him that. So it's going to be kind of a push and pull there. I think a lot of teams, if they could just hire purely Bill Belichick, the coach, I think they'd do it. But kind of handing over your entire football operation to him might be an extra step too much for some of these owners, especially if he might only be there for a couple of years. But whenever any coach gets fired this year, Bill Belichick will be the first name mentioned when you're talking about potential replacements.
Zach Cox is our guy up in New England with the Boston Herald covering the New England Patriots. Zach, always appreciate the time. Thank you, my friend. We'll talk again soon.
Absolutely, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
Now, the cool down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
And thank you to Zach Cox of the Boston Herald for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark to give us the New England Patriots side of this matchup coming up on Sunday. Again, the Jaguars and the Patriots, 9:30 Sunday morning. You'll hear the game right here on 1010XL. We will have the fifth quarter for you. The head coach, Dave Campo, the Pro Bowler, Leon Searcy, and myself, 2 hours after the Jaguars and the Patriots go final. So probably will start about 2:30 or so Sunday afternoon. I think the Jaguars are going to win, and I'll tell you why. And I've been brutally honest the entire week, because if I don't pick Jacksonville this week, I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to pick them again. With Green Bay and Philadelphia and Minnesota and Detroit and Houston all on the horizon, it might be a long time before I'm able to pick Jacksonville to win a football game. Combine the fact with the Patriots are awful. I mean, the Jaguars are bad too, don't get me wrong. The Patriots might be even worse, and they're banged up, injured. So if Jacksonville doesn't win this game, I don't know what to tell you at that point. So I'll pick the Jaguars to win. We did a lot of NFL talk tonight. We also did a lot of college talk. Give me Florida State over Duke. I just got a feeling Florida State's going to go up there and win a football game. I don't know why I feel that way. I just do. They've had a week off to get ready. Friday night on the road, maybe circle the wagons for the only time this year. I think Florida State's going to beat Duke tomorrow night. And I guess give me Florida. Kentucky is so Jekyll and Hyde. They'll get crushed by South Carolina at home. They'll lose to Vanderbilt at home, yet they'll beat Ole Miss on the road and darn near beat Georgia. So who really knows about the Wildcats? But I'm excited about DJ Lagway on Saturday night. You'll hear that game on 1010XL as well. So I'm going to homer up this week. Give me Florida, give me Florida State, and the Jaguars all to come out victorious. Well, that'll just about do it. It has been a very busy Thursday evening and a very busy week here on Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. We have a ton of people to thank. Again, Zach Cox of the Boston Herald talking New England Patriots with us. Always appreciate Zach's time. Thank you to Irish Schofel, warchant.com, for talking Florida State, Duke, and kind of what Florida State is looking to accomplish here in the final 6 games of the 2024 season. Tyler Sullivan, CBSSports.com, dropped by to talk Florida, or to talk rather about the Jacksonville Jaguars and the rest of the AFC South as the Jaguars get ready for New England. In the AFC South, some interesting matchups. Houston and Green Bay, one of the marquee matchups on Sunday in the NFL. You got Tennessee going to Buffalo. You got Indianapolis and Miami. So a lot of good football to be played in the South this week. So we thank Tyler Sullivan for joining us there. And back in hour number 1, my buddy Cecil Shorts, former wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You get him every week here on Hacker After Dark, and we certainly appreciate Cecil taking time out for us tonight. We will be back tomorrow night when Hacker After Dark turns into the Friday Night Lights postgame. We will be here tomorrow night to talk to victorious head coaches all over Northeast Florida as the regular season of high school football begins to wind down. Only 3 weeks left in the regular season, and we'll be here to talk about all of it under the Friday Night Lights tomorrow evening here on 1010XL. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always.